Money can't buy happiness, but it can make you awfully comfortable while you're being miserable. There are no hopeless situations, there are only men who have grown hopeless about them. A great man is one sentence. A woman's best protection is a little money of her own. A man has only one escape from his old self, to see a different self in the mirror of some woman's eyes. The best defense against a powerful and positive dynamic ideology is neither verbal attack nor criticism, which are useful, but to set up an equally powerful and dynamic ideology against it. In the final analysis, there is no other solution to man's progress but the day's honest work, the day's honest decision, the day's generous utterances, and the day's good deed. There aren't many women now I'd like to see as president, but there are fewer men. They say that women talk too much. If you have worked in Congress, you know that the filibuster was invented by men. Communism is the opiate of the intellectuals, with no cure except as a guillotine might be called a cure for dandruff. In politics, women type the letters, lick the stamps, distribute the pamphlets and get out the vote. Men get elected. Remember, whenever a Republican leaves one side of the aisle and goes to the other, it raises the intelligence quotient of both parties. Censorship, like charity, should begin at home, but, unlike charity, it should end there. Male supremacy has kept woman down. It has not knocked her out. Nature abhors a vacuum, even in the heads of statesmen. What generally passes for thought among the majority of mankind is the time one takes out to rearrange one's prejudices. I don't have a warm personal enemy left. They've all died off. I miss them terribly because they helped define me. Watergate is the great liberal illusion that you can have public virtue without private morality. The main thing is to get what little happiness there is out of life in this war-torn world, because these are the good old days now. Enemies may seek our destruction, but they also keep us on our toes and often help us figure out who we are and what we stand for. Women know what men have long forgotten. The ultimate economic and spiritual unit of any civilization is still the family. Women can't have an honest exchange in front of men without having it called a cat fight. When a man can't explain a woman's actions, the first thing he thinks of is the condition of her uterus. Time comes when every man's got to feel something new, when he's got to feel young again, just because he's growing old. Women are just the same. But when we get that way, we change our hairdress. Or get a new cook. Guns know no policy except destruction. Lying increases the creative faculties, expands the ego, and lessens the frictions of social contacts. A man's home may seem to be his castle on the outside, inside is more often his nursery. If men had to bear babies, there'd never be more than one child in a family. Young men still desire women as much as ever, even though they don't want to marry them as much. Women do generally manage to love the guys they marry more than they manage to marry the guys they love. Clarebootheluce and Clare Booth, March 10, 1903 – October 9, 1987, the second child of Anna Clara Schneider, also known as Anne Snyder Murphy, Anne Booth, and Anne Clare Austen, and William Franklin Booth, also known as John J. Murphy, and George Murph. Her parents were not married and would separate in 1912. Her father, a sophisticated man and a brilliant violinist, instilled in his daughter a love of literature, if not of music, but had trouble holding a job and spent years as a traveling salesman. Parts of young Clare's childhood were spent in Memphis and Nashville, Tennessee, Chicago, Illinois, and Union City, New Jersey, as well as New York City. Clare Booth had an elder brother, David Franklin Booth. CLAREBOOTHELUCE was an American writer, politician, U.S. ambassador, and public conservative figure. A versatile author, she is best known for her 1936 hit play The Women, which had an all-female cast. Her writings extended from drama and screen scenarios to fiction, journalism, and war reportage. She was married to Henry Luce, publisher of Time, Life, Fortune, and Sports Illustrated. Politically, Luce was a leading conservative in later life and was well known for her anti-communism. In her youth, she briefly aligned herself with the liberalism of President Franklin Roosevelt as a protégé of Bernard Baruch, but later became an outspoken critic of Roosevelt. Although she was a strong supporter of the Anglo-American alliance in World War II, she remained outspokenly critical of British colonialism in India. Known as a charismatic and forceful public speaker, especially after her conversion to Roman Catholicism in 1946, she campaigned for every Republican presidential candidate from Wendell Willkie to Ronald Reagan.